Hi, everybody. It's been a while. Let me get this big.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, I thought I turned this down. There we go. So, how is everybody? It started to snow here. Not happy. I wish it wasn't snowing. Hi, Cherise, Michelle, Katie, Brenda. Glad you could join me today. So, what's going on here today? We are, no, I got to go back a little bit. Sorry, I'm just trying to get YouTube up so I can see if there's comments. Hello, Miss Sandy. So what am I doing today? So at the retreat in October, I had the privilege to teach this particular project. And it's with the new Fall Breeze paper that Tammy's got in the store now. And it's beautiful. So this was my project. So you're getting a little sneak peek of what my project was. And when I did the project, so it's just a flip and it flips and it flips and it flips. I created this waterfall in the back. So let me open the band or the belly band so you can see what's going on. And I've had people ask me, how did I create this piece right here? And so I talked to Tammy about it and we decided I'd do the live in scrapbookers because it's a technique that we can use anywhere. I am not the inventor of this technique, I can assure you. I honestly don't know. Hello, Pam from Louisiana. I am not sure where I learned it, whether I looked at it one day and said, I can do that. I don't really remember. But this is my take on how to create this, okay? So I'm just going to put this project over to the side because that's all we need for this. Just so you had a little bit of, what do you want to call it, a reference. I hope it's my internet, not anything else. Let's see. Have I frozen? I look fine on my one camera, but the actual picture for me looks, let me do something here. Nope, I'm just fine. I thought for a second I was frozen. So let's get into this. So I've just made a waterfall. It has 3 pages, just like the one in the project I did in Utah. And I've already created my waterfall because there's a zillion different ways to do this too, and it's kind of like whatever works for you. So I thought I wouldn't bore us with that piece of the equation. I was given the 8x8 paper pad, so that's what I'm going to use for this waterfall. But to be honest with you, you can use any paper you want to use. Okay. Now, a couple of things. I am going to cut my height first, and then I'm going to cut it down to size because I'm going to save this for another project. I don't know. You probably have heard me talk about when I do lives and I'm thinking about how I'm going to mat my project. Hello, Juliana. I always look at my paper and I kind of take it that I could cut pieces out of the bigger piece of paper and make that work for me in my album I'm creating. So let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is I usually decide how I'm going to, if I'm going to round my corners on my waterfall or if I'm going to leave them square. I tend to like them rounded because to me it's just a little softer looking. And for this particular project, I used the 7mm. Now keep in mind, if you use this big rounder over here, so the 10mm, you're going to end up with, let me bring the project back in. You're going to end up with, let me just turn this little part here. showing more. So it's not going to lay nicely under the page in front of it. So what I'm saying is when I cut these 1/2-inch strips, if I used a bigger corner rounder, it's going to chop into that more. And so you're going to see more of this corner down here. And I know it's hard to see, so I don't know if I can lift this up so you can see. But notice how it just looks like that the one piece of paper flows into the next. If you use a bigger corner rounder, I have found you don't get that effect nearly as nicely because you're cutting away more of your paper. There, I think I said it the best way I could say it. So that's why I tend to go for a smaller corner rounder on my waterfall. Like we could even, on this one, I have a 4mm. I could even use that one. But the 7mm will work for the purposes that I've got planned today. So I'm just going to round my corners. Probably should have done this before. But I knew if I rounded them, I could forget to tell you guys that part. And that is just something I think that would be helpful. And there we go. So do you see what I'm using? When I was in Utah, I got the light board and the caterpillar crease. So this is all stuff Tammy carries in the store. So there's the self-healing mat that I've got on top of my crease right now. And actually, believe it or not, I've cut on it, which I know there's going to be people here that are going to say, you cut on it? Yes, I did. And I quite like it. I quite like it. Even though it's a little long, I wish they would come up with one that's just 12 by 12 because my OCD says that that's the size it should be. But I'm really, really liking the scoreboard. I'm getting sidetracked here. I like the self-healing mat. I love the scoreboard because when you've got the light on when you have the light on the caterpillar glow and you want to do your scoring, it really does help line you up. So I'm loving this scoreboard. And then I was fortunate enough to get the tempered glass mat, which will be great for mixed media stuff. And then, let me just lift this off. I got the actual, sorry, it's a little dirty. I actually got the light board and it comes with, let me set the glass mat down. It actually comes with a self-healing mat. And it's just fabulous. And I'm finding it almost makes the things I put on top of it, I think, show up better. I think so. So I'll get your opinion here, whether you like it with it on or how you feel about it for the tutorial. Okay. So let me put the glass mat back up because I've been leaving the glass mat on it. Like so. And it needs to move a little bit. It's got these little feet on it, so you kind of got to lift it up and move it. And I'm doing this with one hand, so it's a little trickier than when I've got two. And I just need to put my crease back on. And it comes with its own stylus too. It's a nice stylus, but I tend to really like this one. So of course that's the one I reach for. All right. So I digressed there for a second, but let's get back on to what we're supposed to be doing today. I couldn't help myself. I had to show you my new toy and how much I love it. All right, so I've rounded all the corners of the waterfall, and I'm going to bring my 8x8 piece of paper back in. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a measurement. So I'm measuring, let's do the height first, like I said I was going to do. So the height of this waterfall is 6 1/4. So I like that 1/8 of an inch border. So of course I'm going to cut mine at 6 1/8. And I'm going to my big cutter for that. So I'll just be out of screen for a second. So I said 6 1/8. And like I said, I wanted to keep this strip of paper because I could use it as a border on something I want to use it as a border on. Or I could fussy cut it or soft cut it and then put it as a border. All right, so we did our first cut. So that was the height, 6 1/4. The cut was 6 1/8. Then what I want to do is I want to take my ruler and I want to measure the full width of the waterfall. So right from this edge over to this edge, and it is 5 3/4. But I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of that. So I'm going to make my cut at 5 5/8. Okay, now here's the tricky part. You want to measure, so when you measure this, you're going to turn your piece of paper upside down in your cutter. You're going to measure from this side. So I think I'm going to get my smaller cutter for this so that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay. So bring this down a little bit. Here, let's move this out of our way for just a second. So I said that this full width was 5 3/4. Just going to double check again. I'd rather do it 3 times measuring and then cut only once and it be right. So 5 3/4. Hello, Miss Linda. So nice you could join today. I know it's been a while. So I'm going to cut it 5 5/8. Now, I want to keep my truck. So 5 5/8. So I've turned my paper upside down or away from me. 5 5/8 is right there. Okay. And I'm going to cut it. Don't throw this away. This would make a small tag. So it's like you've got 2 3/8 left. So it would be a nice journaling tag for someplace else in your project. Hello, Jen. How are you? I'm going to see you in a couple of hours. AC is having the Friday night Zoom tonight. All right. So this is what I have now. Is I have a piece of paper that is 1/8 of an inch shorter on all sides than my waterfall is, like so. Okay. Now, the next measurement I want to take is I want to measure just the front of the top flap. So I'm only going to measure this. And to keep that straight, let me just get a piece of paper so we can't see. Let's fold this in half. So the height is okay. I would just need the width of this first flap. And it is 4 1/4. Now I think I just told you guys something wrong. No, it should still work. Okay. So we are going to cut it to 4 1/8. We may be doing this a second time. I'm just remembering something. So 4 1/8. So now you can have it facing. So cut. And here's what you've got. There is your perfect piece for the top. Now, we are going to cut this piece. And this is what we're going to cut this piece at 1/2 of an inch. So I am going to cut it this way. So I'm cutting one piece. So let me say this again. This is your leftovers of this part of the truck. It happens to be 1.5 inches wide. So we are going to cut it into 3 1/2 inch strips. So here's 1. And here's 2. And you have 3. Now, the thing to remember is keep them in order. Too long. Yes, it has been, Linda. Hi, Chelsea. Hi, Dina. So glad you could join us today. So now what you want to do is get rid of that white piece of paper. And we need to round the corners of our pattern paper using the same rounder that you used to round the cardstock. So I'm rounding the first one. And I'm going to round just one side. So remember, I have kept these in the order I'm going to be adhering them down in. Hello, Barbara from Rochester, New York. I hope I've said that right. Nice that you could join us. Okay, so we're going to just round one side. And remember to make sure you're rounding the right side. So as I'm looking at it, I'm rounding the right-hand side of these 1/2-inch strips. And just keep going. And the last one. And taking our time. All right. Now, you can ink your edges if you want to. For this demonstration, I'm going to wait to ink my edges because, well, we could, I guess. But I just think you guys all know how to ink edges, so I don't think I need to ink these edges to demonstrate. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adhere it all down with my repositionable tape, and I'll come back after, and I will actually adhere it with the Dries Clear Art Glitter Glue. So I'm lining this up. So there's our big piece down. Okay, then I'm going to open it. I'm going to turn it sideways so that I'm working sort of with it as close to me as possible. And I'm just going to add some adhesive. I'm going to line it up. And I'm trying to keep it about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the paper. So away from the edge of my cardstock. So there's the first one. And this technique, you look at it and you think, it's got to be really, really hard. How can it possibly be this easy? But it really is. And it just takes your waterfall to another level as far as I'm concerned. But of course, I always say you have to have the right image to do this. So here's number 2. And I'm a little bit like so. And you want to always go back and look to make sure, take a point on the truck. And so I'm using the top of the box as sort of my line, and make sure that they're lined up. And then you can do the last one. And here we go for the last one. And just hang on. We got it a little too far away. And there's the last one. Okay. And I might have to just adjust this one. Now, another idea is as you're laying these down, start with this last piece first, and then you would have it to line up your next pieces to it. And that's basically it. That's how simple this is. So again, you just cut the full width first, less an eighth, cut the height less an eighth, then cut the front, and then cut your 1/2-inch strips. And that's it. And then for along the spine or the gusset, whatever we want to call this, you could add a coordinating piece of pattern paper. I think in my project I did green, but you could do red, you could do this polka dot stuff, whatever you happen to have in your stash would work. So that is my little technique, my little trick. There's not a lot to it. I hope it will help you. And I hope that moving forward, I'll use it again in a project and you'll see it. And like Sandy said in Scrapbookers today, you know, it's a project she knows how to do and she's done it before. But sometimes a standalone video for something like this will help other people when they're struggling, trying to figure out, well, how did they put that in there? Because I typically don't go through my matting when I do a live. I leave that to you guys to do. So that's how simple it is, and that's how nice it looks. Okay, so I am going to be going live next week. I already know this because I've missed a few weeks with the retreat and coming home and getting back into routine. It's just I've missed a few. Hello, Charlotte. You're welcome. I'm sorry it took me so long to get it done, but life has been a little crazy in this house. Hello, Nancy and Lucille. Yes, it's been a while, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what's coming next week. So just give me a second to get it out. So we're almost to that time of year with gift giving and all that fun stuff that we do. So because you guys stuck around to the end, I'm just going to show you this. This is my project for next week. I wonder if that's better. That is better with this. Okay, it's probably because I've got too many lights on. Anyway, how this all started is when I was in Utah, I went to a farmer's market and I got a beautiful journal, leather journal. And I got thinking about, well, I could use something similar to keep my tutorials in. So I thought, why don't I make a cover? So that's how it all started. So I made this cover. I used Bloom Where You Plant It because I had it left over. And I really used scraps for this. And then I made this accordion pocket on the front. And as you can see, there's all my pens sitting in it. And then when you open it, you've got this nice big pocket on the left-hand side. And I put in one of the journaling books that I had. You could cover this if you wanted to, but I thought for my purposes, I was just going to leave it blank for the time being. And I used 2 small magnets, and I do like the small magnet. This is actually an accordion pocket here too. And then on the left-hand side, I created a belly band that my tutorial book will slide in under. And I'm using one of the CCC tutorial booklets that I'm going to write all my tutorials in. But where did I put it? I have another one here that I've got for my 2023 stuff waiting to roll. And it fits perfectly too. And basically the size of the booklet I'm using, it's 8 1/4. And with the rings, it's like 5 3/4. So I don't know technically what size booklet that is, but this is what we're going to work on next week. So get ready. I haven't decided what paper I'm going to use next week, and we're going to go through the whole process. We're going to make it, and I think we're going to decorate it, but I have to find the paper I'm going to use. So there's what we're making next week. It could be for your tutorials. It could get you ready for 2023. It could be a planner for Christmas if you use Christmas paper on it. It could be a planner for a wedding if you used wedding paper on it. Like it's you just have to decide what paper you're going to use. I use this one because I kind of really like blue and I love this paper, and be kind to yourself, I think, is really important these days. So that's what we're doing. Absolutely, Charlotte. We're going to book club. Yes, Nancy. Yes, Charlotte, I'll show you how to make this little pen holder. It's simple, 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 simple. You know, Bonnie, she likes it easy. Yes, actually, I've tried to start doing that too. Yes, it would make a great journaling book. How it started was it was supposed to just keep me on track with things I have to do in my life. So that's what my leather one's being used for. But like I say, then I got thinking about, you know, I do these tutorials. I usually don't know where the book is, or if I do know where the book is, I don't have a pen handy. So I thought if I kept it all in one place, that would be the best. And that's kind of how this all came to be. And of course, you got to have different colored pens, don't you? Anyway, so there's a sneak peek of next week's project. It'll be at 1 o'clock Pacific time on next Friday, which I believe is the 11th, November the 11th. So we will see you then. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope someplace there's sun shining, but it certainly isn't where I live today because we're in full heavy duty. I guess winter has officially arrived here. Anyway, take care, everybody, and I will see you on my next tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.